Back, we're working on the next section, which 1.3 in your student journal, solving equations with variables on both sides. This is where things definitely get a little dicey for some of you, not all of you, but some of you. How can you solve an equation that has variables on both sides? So really, you just have to remember for this section, it's key that you remember what I said in the last video, that it doesn't matter what side the variable on, and it truly doesn't. So before we get into it, let's cover a few concepts. To solve an equation with variables on both sides, simplify one or both sides of the equation if necessary. Then use inverse operations to collect the variable terms on one side. This is important. It does not say left or right. It just says one side. So you get to pick. You are the master of this. Collect the constant terms on the other side. Constant terms just means the rest of the numbers that don't have a variable. And isolate the variable. So make sure it's on the left or the right side. It doesn't matter which, as long as it's by itself. Special solutions of linear equations. Equations do not always have one solution. An equation that is true for all values of the variable is an identity and has infinitely many solutions. So you're gonna work a problem out, and you're gonna come across something that says You're gonna come across something that says something like 5 equals 5, and then that will be it. There will be no x, and you'll be like, oh well, 5 is equal to 5. And in that case, what that means is all the numbers that you come up with are going to be a solution for that problem. Now, on the other hand, so this is an identity, and so if you ever work it out to a point where one number is equal to itself, you would just say infinitely many solutions. On the other hand, an equation that is not true, so 5 equals 5 is true, that a number is equal to itself. But let's say you get 5 equals 4. Well, no, 5 is never equal to 4. That never works. Otherwise, it would be 4 or whatever. In this case, an equation that is not true for any value of the variable has no solution. You'll say, no, 5 is never equal to 4. This just does not work out. So typically, you'll have something like x equals something, 1 or -5 or blah, 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 etc., etc. These two are special cases or special solutions. These are when there is just one solution, specific number. Okay, moving on. Okay, steps for solving linear equations. This is just the best way to show you is to do it. And so if you need to read those steps, go for it. Take a second right now to read them, but I will just be showing you the whole way. So our goal is to get the variables on one side. So again, it's this handy dandy little line right here. We got the left side that helps us split up the left side and the right side of the equal sign. So you can choose to put the variable on the left side, but because there's a 12 already here, it's simpler for me to just bring this over to the right side. So I'll have plus 3x, because this is a negative or a minus. So how do you get rid of a minus? You add. And the reason it's easier like this is if I added 6x instead, if I added 6x, that would cancel out. And I would have -3x plus 6x. Then I would still have a 12 on this side that I would have to subtract later. It just would make it longer. So I have a -3x plus 2x is 0. I have a 12 equals -6x plus 3x is -3x. I could divide them. Sorry, let me pause here. We have a -3x, and a lot of students say, oh, well, it's negative, I have to add, which is not true. Why is that? Because you want to know how to get the variable by itself. And the variable is not adding or subtracting by anything. It is being multiplied by a negative number. That's all it says. This is not subtraction. This is a negative number. And so we have to think about how we would cancel out division, the inverse operation of multiplication, because they're being multiplied. The inverse operation of multiplication is division. So we do that, voila. And we get a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So -4 equals x. If we plug it back in, we get negative 6 times negative 4, which is positive 24. And we get 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, so we get 12 minus negative 12, which is positive 24. Again, if you want to verify, you're welcome to use a calculator. You're always welcome to use a calculator. Okay, so in this case, since we just brought the variable to the right side, I will take this opportunity to show you what it's like to bring it to the left side. Again, on all these problems, you can pick. So this is addition, so I will subtract it to isolate negative 5z. So I have a negative 5 and a negative 5. That does not make 0. That makes negative 10. So it's 7 minus 10z equals 17. Because even though there is a minus sign here, that just applies to the negative 10z. This number, the 7, is positive, so I will subtract it. And if I do it on one side, I will also do it on the other side. So you have this left over. Do not forget that the minus sign or the negative sign comes with it. A lot of kids just forget for some reason. But if it's there and it's not crossed out, you haven't done anything with it. You don't have the right to do that. So we got that. So we're gonna, again, you should think, what operation am I trying to cancel out? Subtraction or multiplication? And the answer is multiplication, because subtraction doesn't exist here. It's not subtraction, it's just a negative number. So I'm going to divide. What am I going to divide by? I'm going to divide by the number I'm trying to get rid of, negative 10. So negative 10, negative 10. Cancels out. Z equals negative 10 over positive 10 is negative 1. Okay, negative 1. I know it's ugly, but you can hear me, so figure it out. Okay, those are the first few problems. Next, let's move down a little bit. So we got 3k plus 45. I'm not going to do number 3. Your two options are to subtract 3k from both sides or to subtract 8k from both sides. And whichever one you do, you just got to make sure you get it by itself. So either of those is a fine way to start. For number 4, though, this one looks a little bit hairier. So we should and we will walk through a fraction. So the best way for me to describe a fraction to you is that you know that fraction bar means divide, right? And if two things are standing next to each other, that means multiply. So we're going to multiply with the numerator before we divide by the denominator. Or actually, if you like, you can divide by the denominator before multiplying by the numerator. In any case, all that was a lot of talk. 3 times 48. 3 times 48 is 144. And I got to divide that by 4. And 3 times 16 is 48, or negative 16 rather. Negative or minus 48, however you'd like to think about that. Divided by 4, multiplied by x. So that is that for, we have distributed. Distribute just means multiply, and we have yet to divide. And then we have 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 times positive 2 is positive or plus 8x. If you divide these, 144 divided by 4, oh boy, what is that? That's 30, no, what is it? It's, I know, 12 times 12, let's see, 144 divided by 4 is 36. And then 48 divided by 4 is 12, so you have 36 minus 12x equals, 12x equals 16 plus 8x. I will go over this verbally because I want you to leave this part. I want to leave this part for you to try. I will tell you, you can add 12x to both sides, subtract both sides by 16, and then divide by 20. Okay? I'm not working that through. I want you to give it a try. But you should get the answer is x equals 1. But you need to add 12x and subtract by 16. We got 5 cubed plus 6 equals 2. Okay, we got to combine like terms. So we're going to combine this 2q with the plus q. We just take the sign in front of it. If there's no number there, it's a 1. So we have 2q plus 1q is 3q. We haven't done anything with the minus 2 yet. And even though this problem is simpler, I will work it out because maybe you need another template for number 4. So again, you want to isolate. You can choose left or right side. It doesn't matter. I will bring this to the left side because I feel like it. Also because it's simpler. Minus 3q because it is positive. Not because of this minus sign. That has nothing to do with what I'm doing right here. Minus 3q. So left side, or do it on one side, do it to the other. 5 minus 3 is 2q. 2q plus 6 equals negative 2. Then you got to subtract, get rid of that by using inverse operation of addition. So now I have 2q equals, plus 6 minus 6 is 0. Negative 8. Divide both sides by 2. Because that is the inverse operation of multiplication. This is multiplication right here. I want to get rid of it. How do I get rid of it? Divide. Negative 8 divided by 2. Q is equal to negative 4. Feel free to check your answers if you are unsure. I am positive that it's, well, 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Negative 20 plus 6 is negative 14. 2 times negative 4, so we're looking for negative 14, right? So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Negative 4 over here is just a negative 4. Negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. Negative 10 minus 4 is negative 14. Great. Last one, sorry, on this page rather. Combine like terms. So these are like terms because they both have an x. So 6x minus 10x is really just essentially 6 minus 10. So we have minus 4x equals 16 minus 8x. That's the first step for you. The next step that I would do is to bring it to the left. Again, you don't have to. I just will for this problem. To add it to the left, or to isolate the variable to the left, you add 8x to both sides. You will add 8x because that is the inverse operation of subtraction. And then after you do that, you will subtract 8 because this is a positive 8. And then you will divide both sides by whatever number that the variable is being multiplied by. And you should get, let's see, plus 8x, 8 plus 4x. You should get x equals 2. If you double check your work, the answer is right there. So let's see, 8 plus 12 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. 16 minus 16 is 0. Yep, that makes sense. Moving on. I think these are mostly okay. I'll help you get started with, like, okay, so number 7 is like, yeah, it's super simple. You could subtract 3a or you could subtract 6a to start. It doesn't matter. I will just distribute to get the ball rolling. We got 8b. We got minus 12 or negative 12. I distribute here. Distribute again, meaning just multiply. 12b minus 28. I will do one step for you on number 7, just in case there's still like confusion. So I said you could bring it on any side, and I've been doing it to the left, so let's just switch it and go to the right now. Negative 6a, negative 6a, or minus 6a, the same thing really. 0. Again, do not forget to bring that minus sign down. Common mistake, minus 4 equals 3 minus 6 is negative 3a, plus 5. How do I get rid of plus 5? How do I do it? What's the inverse operation of plus? Minus. If I do it on one side, got to do it to the other. I got negative 9. Again, if you're not sure, just use your calculator. negative equals negative 3a. At this point, you should definitely be very confident in the fact that when you get to the point where the variable is by itself, or sorry, the variable is by itself being multiplied with something else, all you have to do is divide. So we're going to divide by that number, which is negative 3. Negative 9 divided by negative 3 is positive 3 equals a. Okay, that's your answer. Leaving number 8 to you to figure out. The answer, though, I will leave you the answer so that you can double check. Let's see. 12b minus 8b is 4b. Negative 12 plus 28 is 16. 16 divided by 4. I do believe the answer is 4. So 12 minus 7 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Yep, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on. I will distribute these things for you, but the challenge should be there. So I'm just going to help you distribute and then let you figure out the rest. Because the last problems are the hardest ones. And of course, that's where you do most of your learning on a hard problem. 16r minus 24 minus r. Don't forget to combine like terms. 16r minus 1r is going to be 15r. So you're going to have 15r minus 24 on the left side. 3 times 3r is 9r plus 6. So you got 15r minus 24 equals 9r plus 6. You solve this the exact same way as number 7 and previous problems. You move it to the left or right, or you isolate the variable to the left or right side of the equation. It's up to you. Okay, let's distribute here. So this one's a little tricky because we have a negative 8 and a negative 6. So we have 3x minus 16x minus 24. That 3x minus 16x is going to become a negative 13x. Negative 6 times 2 is 2x, rather, is negative 12x. Negative 6 times a positive 5 is negative 30. You go from here. We get negative 13x minus 24. You should add 13x or 12x to either side. It doesn't matter. In fact, in case you are confused, I will just work this one out. I'm actually going to see if typing this is going to make it any faster. So I'm going to add 13x. And if you do it on one side, you got to do it to the other side. Add 13x. Nice. So that cancels. And then on the left side, this is finicky, I don't know why. But on the left side, I have a negative 24 equals negative 12. Negative 12 plus 13 is positive 1. And I haven't done anything with that minus 30 yet. And then I'm going to add 30 on both sides. Negative 24 plus 30 is 6. 6 equals x. There it is. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. If you need to pause it, go ahead and pause it. So we're at the end here, or we're closing in on the end rather. I will do a couple of these. So again, reminder that when you have an identity, that means like 5 equals 5 or negative 10 equals negative 10. Like when you have something equal to itself, then that's an infinite number of solutions. If on the other hand you get something like 0 equals 2, that's no solution. And if you get something like x equals negative 8, that is one solution, right? This is just one number. This does not make any sense, so it's no numbers, and this is always true, so it's all numbers. So distributing 6, 24s plus 6 times 12 is 72 8 times 3 is 24. I'm just distributing again. 24s. 8 times negative 14 is 80 plus 32 is 112. And then you go from here. So I will try and isolate the variable. How will I do that? It's not 245. My handwriting is just crappy, alright? So 24s. 24s, right? And over here, also minus 24s. Why am I doing that? To isolate the variable. I want to bring it to the left side or the right side. But in fact, in this problem, we have 24 minus 24s is 0. And we have 24s minus 24s is also 0. And we end up saying that 72 is equal to negative 112. Now looking at this off to the right side over here, let's make that nice little box. Which one does it fit? Do we have an x equals one number? No, so there's not one solution. Do we have one number equaling itself? No, that's not the same number. Do we have two different numbers equaling itself? Yes. What does that mean? No solution. That means there's no answer. No matter what number you plug in, this problem will never work out. Okay? So again, these last problems, you're really just stressing the use of this box, but the problem solving methods are exactly the same as 1 through 10. So I'm not going to solve any of these the rest of the way completely through. I will just help you out. So 16f plus 24, 16f plus 24. If it's not real obvious yet, you have the same thing on the left side as you do on the right side. What's that going to be? Oh, it's an identity. This one is going to be infinitely many solutions, but you got to show the work still. Subtract 16f from both sides. Here we got a fraction. Again, that means multiply by the numerator, divide by the denominator. So 10 multiplied by 1 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12. Or also another way to think about this is you could just take half of it. So half of 12 is 6. But it also works if you take the other approach. Multiply by 1 divided by 2. 15 multiplied by 1 divided by 3 is 5. And the same thing applies for over there. Over here, we were multiplying by 2 and divided by 3, so we got 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4j. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 divided by 3 is 6. And again, you guys just solve this just like everything else. Just like everything else. And except you have to sit here and figure out, okay, well, if I get x, or the variable equals a number, that's one solution. If I got two different numbers equal to itself, or equal to each other, then that doesn't make any sense. That's no solutions. And then if you have a number equal to itself, then that is infinitely many solutions, or many solutions. Sorry, let me leave that there. I'll just erase it. Okay. So the value of the surface area of the rectangular prism is equal to the value of the volume. Write and solve an equation to find the value of x. So if you're got to write an equation, you know it's got to have you gotta have what? You gotta have an equal sign. So surface area is really just the number of sides, or the number of faces, times the area of each face. Because this is a rectangular prism, it looks like it's going to be pretty similar. So this is going to be a little complicated, very hard to convey across video, but I will show this for those of you that need to grasp it anyways. If you don't, then you are welcome to come see me. So let's just count the number of faces this has. So we have the bottom face, 1. We have the 4 outer faces. That's another 4, so that's 5 total. And we have the top face. So it's 4 around on the top and the bottom. That's 6 faces, right? So 6 times however much each surface area is. 6 times. So, or rather, this is going to be, so right here, up and down is 6. So to find this face is 6x, because we're just multiplying them. Plus, this face is 6 times 6 is 36. plus the back face is another 6x. The left face is 36 again. The top face is, if this is x units, this is also x units, and this is 6 units. So the top and the bottom face are both 6x and 6x. Now this is equal to the value of the volume. So the volume is just, you take all three measures and you multiply them together. So you say x times, oh god, I'm going to say times with the dot. X times, right, which, whatever, x times 6 times 6. So I get, what do I get? We got 6x plus 6x plus 6x plus 6x is 24x, plus 36 plus 36 is 72, equals 36x. So you'll subtract both sides by 24x and then divide by 12. Alrighty. Hopefully you understood that. If not, of course, questions are always welcome, so come see me or whatever. Or however you're seeing this, you can contact me, comment on the video, and I'll answer your questions. Alright, thanks for tuning in.